I know this took me a second to get to, but we're finally here. I need to talk about Chucky season 2, at least these first 3 episodes, and why I think that you should be watching it. I'm going to give you a brief summary at what has happened so far, as well as 5 reasons that I think, honestly, you should get into the series. It is Halloween season, but this show honestly brings a lot. So let's get to my theme music first, and then let's get this started. Cue it.
Listen.
Yeah! Yes, God! Oh! Get that out of Hey everybody, it's your boy Matty Rants. Thank you so much for tuning into the channel. Do me a favor, hit that like button, share, and subscribe now that you're in the door. Thank you so much for being here today. We are again talking about Chucky Season 2, which is available on USA and Sci-Fi Network, but also the first 2 episodes are available on YouTube in case you would like to check them out. A little bit about me before we get to Chucky. You can find me in my social media pages in the Linktree description down below. That's Instagram, Twitter, all of that, and then some. I also do reactions to each and every episode that I review on YouTube on my Patreon. I would love to upload them to YouTube, but they don't like it when I do that. So for as low as $1 a month, you can actually go to my Patreon channel and watch all of these reactions to each and every show that I review on this channel. And I'm also bookable on Cameo. If you've had a bad day, you need a birthday message or something special, reach out to me. I'll send you something from the heart. With that being said, this is for entertainment purposes only. I am not here to malign any religion, race, company, individual, or wigs, or whatever the case may be. If you read the rest of whatever is behind me, you'll understand this is just for fun. But also it's a review hunt, so chill out, relax. It's just my opinion on these things. With that being said, take yourself a deep breath. Hope you're having a good day. Release, relax, let go. Let's just talk about a show that I love so much. And again, this will be one of my shorter videos, so I'm sure a lot of the people who hate when I do long lives will be so excited for this, but they won't because they never were supporters to begin with. Shall we start? So like I said before, I just want to give sort of like a brief summary of what is happening so far with the series, at least with season 2, not going through season 1 because that's going to take a while to get through. But season 2, I just want to tell you what's happened so far. If you remember where we last left off on season 1, Chucky has now found himself with an army of dolls, all good guy dolls, with his soul, Charles Lee Ray, the killer, who is the person who has inhabited this body from the Child's Play movie series that has gone through several movies, not including the reboot that I do not like to mention because it was awful, of Robo Chucky. See, Robo Chucky is different from possessed from a serial killer's soul entering a doll's body to then take over somebody else's body so that way he can continue his murder spree. Yeah. But at the same time, I know people are really interested in dolls, robotic dolls for that matter. Honey, I don't know how I feel about Megan, and that's not shade, but y'all found that dancing shit to be entertaining, and I thought that was really silly. And I'm like, I like camp. I don't like it when it's just in my face like that. But I'll give it a try. But back to the original, the OG, the one that really had the kids' nightmares fueled. It's Charles Lee Ray, aka Chucky. But with Chucky possessing so many dolls' bodies, and also we get to see Tiffany the doll again. For those of you who don't know, she's from Bride of Chucky. That's played by Jennifer Tilly, who's also Tiffany, who Tiffany then possessed Jennifer Tilly. So Jennifer Tilly is playing Tiffany as Jennifer Tilly. You gotta love it. She's only there for like 5 seconds as she gets blasted away. Andy Barclay, who is the main protagonist from the first Child's Play movie, who is now seen in the series, which I love. Don Mancini. Shout out to him for really creating an awesome series, an awesome just character and everything behind it. I love this universe that he's created with the Child's Play Chucky universe. But Andy Barclay is trying to get rid of all of these dolls, or at least to get them out of town, since he already knows if Chucky in one form is bad, imagine him with like 100 dolls of that serial killer in the body of those dolls. Andy ends up driving the truck off of a cliff. Kaboom! Everyone believes that he's dead, and all of the dolls, or so we think. Okay, because there were a lot of dolls in the first season where Chucky had put his soul into it. You're asking yourself, Maddie, I thought he could only do this by like one person. Well, if you've been watching the series, when we get to, I believe, Cult of Chucky, that's at the mental asylum. That's when we find out that Chucky can possess multiple people because he's learned a new spell where he can break his soul off into pieces into multiple vessels. Ooh, that is a little scary. And if you forgot, as I'm now bringing this in because it is important to have this discussion, Nika, who was a part of Curse of Chucky, that also went into Cult of Chucky, that is now in the series Chucky, actually was possessed by Chucky in the Cult of Chucky movie towards the end. So Charles Lee Ray had a little bit of himself inside of Nika, which is interesting because the main voice actor, Brad Dourif, who voices Chucky, and the actress that plays Nika is Brad Dourif's daughter in real life. You have got to love how this all comes together in a sense, right? Especially if you're a fan of the series. But back to season two. Sorry, I had to give that little layout there. With the truck blown up and us thinking that, oh, maybe all the dolls are gone, we need to get back to Jake, Devin, and Lexi. As you know, Jake and Devin are totally in love, and they're totally in love, but this doll nearly ripped them apart, literally. And because of the events that had happened last season with all the deaths and murders that took place, they've had to been placed into separate foster homes. Both Jake's dad, aunt, and uncle were killed in the last season, as well as his cousin. Jesus. Lexi's dad's gone too. Her unfortunately leaving her with her mother because I can't stand that lady. And her sister, who's interesting, a very creepy girl she is, that part. But they've all been separated in a sense. While Devin and Jake are no longer close to each other, they try their best to see each other whenever they can. Well, Lexi's going through a little bit of an addiction. Yeah. It's clear that Jake and Devin are very much in love, and Jake's a little bit more reckless in terms of showcasing that love. In one scene in particular on episode 1, where he just kisses Devin out the blue, he doesn't even know how these foster parents feel about him just like that yet. But he's willing to take the risk out of love, and I'm always here for that. And Jake, being in this adopted family, has a little brother named Gary, who I was fully prepared to enjoy this entire season. I was. Till Chucky blew him up. Yes, within the first episode, we find out that there are still more dolls out there. Okay, still more dolls out there either taking Ubers, that was funny, or being shipped in the mail to these kids' homes to mess with them. But in reality, Chucky was trying to gather all the kids together, Lexi, Devin, and Jake, in order to take them out in one blow. Gary, totally thinking this is a game at the time, including Lexi's sister, who has been going through therapy, both Lexi and her, over the doll situation. But of course, they're trying to tell them the dolls never existed, they were never alive. Okay, you can lie to those babies if you want to, but they saw it all go down. They said, let's take out the sweetest character out of everybody so far, who we just got to know within minutes to it. And now that he's gone, the therapist who gave the same Tiffany doll is now also giving suggestions to send these kids to a Catholic school for those who are lost in their ways to find their way back. This ain't a Beyonce song. It's not that big of world, but it's Don Mancini's for sure. With them going to this school versus going into juvenile detention and all that kind of jazz, Lexi points out that there is a bully from their previous days that's going to be at the school that she's going to have to deal with. Oh, not for too long. They also start to realize that this is actually Charles Lee Ray's childhood home that has been turned into a Catholic school. Girl, the setup is real. And upon arriving to the school, of course, they see Devin Sawa again, not as Jake's uncle, not as Jake's dad, but as Father Bryce. I love that Devin Sawa is being used again in this series, but also in a completely different way. And of course, there's the mention of he looks so familiar. He reminds me of my like, oh my god. And how that they're in this Catholic school, so many layers because Devin and Jake are gay and they're in love and they're now in the school where it condemns that. They're already going through their own issues. Devin, of course, is dealing with the Chucky drama, but Jake still feels guilt for Gary dying and it being sort of his fault. And Jake's a little annoying to me this season. I'm trying to give Jake some more time. I enjoyed him so much season 1, but he is getting on my nerves this season. Lexi's also going through withdrawals while she's in this Catholic school. She's basically running out of her pills while also having to deal with a former bully of hers who, she feels like Yeah, things will be different, but will they? Forgot to mention that one of the new characters so far who is still with us is Nadine. I like her. I'm also getting Glenda references to her too. Like, what if they end up possessing Nadine or something else happens because it's the redhead of it all? I don't know. But I like her. She's kooky. We find out she's there because she's a klepto, but at the same time, she adds a little bit of happiness. She adds a little bit of spunk and happiness to these kids who are clearly just all going through it. But she is also aware that Chucky is alive and has teamed up with Jake, Devin, and Lexi. You would think with the kids arriving to the Catholic school that they would be safe, but of course not. Chucky finds his way back into the world again, and of course ends up killing one of the nuns just by spooking her a little bit. It was a pretty entertaining scene. But they do somehow get a hold of the doll, and at this point, brainwash this doll, which I thought was a really interesting take to have because Chucky ends up being good, but it's a form of Chucky that ends up being good because it's not actually Chucky because Charles is raised in like several bodies of a doll. Yeah. Yeah, that's what's happening. Oh, there's so much going on. But the doll ends up being good, and it was kind of like a breath of fresh air. I actually like the good version, like the actual good guy doll. But then another Chucky finds its way into the school, and it's Rip Chucky. Like, no, actually goes to the gym, Chucky. This picture, I was gagged. Takes out Lexi's school bully who was going to frame her for having drugs now because, of course, she was playing that power role with him and he was going to do the one-uppance. But instead, he just ended up being a supplier for one time for Lexi because she's not getting rid of those pills. Also, Father Bryce did see Jake and Devin kiss, so he's more than likely going to use this against them. There are how many kids going to this school, and there's like two nuns left after one of them was just taken out. I don't like her. She concerns me, but I do like her. I like her a lot, but I'm also afraid that she is going to be taken out sooner than later. Before I go too far, let's get back to Tiffany, who is played by Jennifer Tilly, but Jennifer Tilly is playing Tiffany. She's got a nice house. She apparently has spent a lot of money, a lot of Jennifer Tilly's money. Yes. And Nika's there. If you remember, Tiffany cut off all of Nika's limbs, arms, legs, the full works there. So that way she could have her for herself and treat her like a baby because, this is what Tiffany always wanted, even though she had Glenn and Glenda. I didn't get that part. But also because Charles Lee Ray is still somewhere, Chucky's still somewhere inside of Nika, and they have not removed him out just yet. I wonder if that's actually going to ever happen too. Nika, of course, is going through it. Like, y'all can feel bad for Devin and Jake, but I feel bad for Nika the most out of everybody because Chucky is still in there. And right now they're working together to sort of get back at Tiffany, but ooh, Nika, you should know Chucky never has a plan for everyone. It's always for himself. And Glenn and Glenda still have not shown up into frame. They've arrived at Tiffany's house, but we haven't seen it just yet. Also, Tiffany, Jennifer Tilly, Jennifer Tilly, Tiffany, Jennifer Tilly. She killed a detective. And in the next episode coming up, they're about to have a murder mystery party where Sutton Strack from Housewives of Beverly Hills will be making her guest appearance. I'm so excited for those worlds colliding. Why didn't we have the Chucky doll on Bravo, Andy? Why didn't we have it? I don't know. That was probably my quickest route of what's happened so far within these last 3 episodes. By all means, you should watch it because there's way more context and delivery that's happening there, but that's just my brief summary. So, my 5 reasons as to why y'all should be watching this series. Let's get into it. Let's just do this 1 through 5 or 5 through 1. Number 5. If you were a fan of the Child's Play movies, this series really does bring it all into perspective and is certainly a love letter to the fandom itself. I'm a huge fan of, as a matter of fact, a huge fan of the Child's Play Chucky series. Bing! My Funko will tell you these things. Of course, Child's Play 2 is my favorite movie from the series. The story that's set up behind Charles Lee Ray, that it goes from this really dark horror film to the super campy one that is so entertaining is worth a shot to look at. And also, if you were one of those people like me who was afraid of dolls when you were younger, and that's because my cousins were evil. Evil. Both my brothers and my cousins were just horrible people. They used to throw dolls at me at night and pretend it was Chucky and like do this really gross voice and all that. It used to scare me. And I was forced to see Child's Play 2 was actually my first experience seeing Chucky. I was 4 years old, and my cousins, I was either 4 or 5, had to be 4 or 5. And my cousins forced me to watch it, and they made me come in at the scene at the toy factory when he was ripping his hand off to put a knife in it. Oh, it ruined me. Oh, it ruined me seeing Andy fall down the little rollers and the chicken go, ah, like, oh, ruined me. Killed me as a kid. But as an adult, I live and breathe for the series now. I love it so much. It's my favorite. He's my favorite horror icon. But yeah, base number 5, that's a long reason there. But honestly, it just ties everything together. And with the series, it pays homage to so many of the movies. It gives you a lot of winks and a lot of nudges. Number 4, super meta. It's super meta. Everything about this damn show is so meta. For example, I'm going to give you one because I'd rather you find the rest of it. Jennifer Tilly, who is Tiffany. Tiffany is in Jennifer Tilly's body, but Tiffany is, you know, Tiffany, who is in Jennifer Tilly's body one more time, is watching Jennifer Tilly in Liar Liar on television. But it's Tiffany in the soul of Jennifer Tilly. But Jennifer Tilly is the actress's an explosion. An explosion of meta. And there's so many moments like that in the show where you're going to be like, oh shit, that was for, oh. And they're fully aware of it. There's even times when Chucky references his own movies. The fact that the movies actually exist in this universe too, which is I thought was crazy because the kids talk about Bride of Chucky. That's the same doll from the Bride of Chucky movie. Like, what? I kind of like that. It adds a little something to the story here, and it also doesn't make us feel silly when we bring up those moments to say this doesn't seem like it would make sense, but it kind of actually does. This nostalgia factor, it brings it all into the series. Number 3, the kill scenes for a TV series. Bravo! Like they've had some excellent deaths, some that have been justified, and others that you would be like, really? We had to get rid of her? Junior's mother from season 1. That was heartbreaking. Hell, Gary's death at the beginning of this season. Out of line. Those but those kills I find to be extremely entertaining. And to be honest with you, I've been finding the series to be a lot more. I was a big American Horror Story guy, but they have fallen off these last couple of seasons, baby. And I gotta tell you, Chucky is giving me my horror needs during this spooky season. Number 2, the writing is amazing. I'm enjoying the writing a lot this season. Of course, it's very self aware of what's going on. Also, doesn't treat us like we're idiots. So that I appreciate. The characters also are excellent. You will find your favorite very quickly with this show. Some can be annoying at times, but it all makes sense. You know, you're not gonna like everybody immediately, but the cast, the writing, all of it, great. And the number one reason why I will tell you to watch this series is because it's just good. It's just good. Just it's so good. Like I'm trying to get my friend who is scared of horror movie stuff to understand that the series is nowhere near as spooky or as scary as a lot of the movies have been. It's very camp. And I like how camp it is, but it does throw in those horror movie elements. I did jump in like one scene in particular last season where I was like, oh shit, that got me a little bit. But you know, again, that's what the show is supposed to do. So I personally think this is one of the best series that are out on television right now. I think that this can go on for a couple of seasons, quite a bit. There's a lot to write in the story universe. We still haven't gotten into Glenn and Glenda just yet. We saw, the car, they got to the house of Tiffany, but we haven't seen them fully just yet. So there's a lot to explore with this series. I hope they continue this on.
I can't believe I forgot to mention this when it actually hits home for me so much too. I'm just going to add this in the many reasons, outside of the 5 of why you should watch this show, but also we got to talk about it. The director, listen, Child's Play, the series, especially in the later sequels and including this television series, is very much a part of the LGBTQIA plus umbrella, if you really want to talk about it. Not only is Don Mancini a part of the family, but it's the fact that with writing over time, Chucky's world has definitely been immersed into the rainbow, especially with his children, which is Glenn and Glenda, they and them, of course. I cannot wait till they actually really open this up a little bit more and we see them in their human form versus just the doll form from Seed of Chucky. But, even in the writing with Devin and Josh, with Devin and Jake over the entire, I'm not going to judge you for who you are. I mean, he was using that to get on Jake's good side to use him, but at the same time, Chucky feels that way, honestly. And he always reiterates it like, if he's like, I'm a killer, but I'm equal opportunity for killing people. Oh, anywho, I just wanted to add that in there because that is one of the most important parts for me as a watcher of the show to know that I'm included somewhat into this conversation and it's not in a negative way.
Sorry if this wasn't enough, but honestly, I wanted to make this a quick review. I will start doing reviews by each episode, so just stay tuned for that. That will be coming soon, I promise. I just wanted to do these first three. Actually, I was moving at the time when these first three episodes started, so I wasn't really able to pull together a review here, but I will be doing that from now on. From now on, Queen. From now on. Hey, everybody, thanks for tuning in. Please do me a favor, hit that like button, share, and subscribe. Become part of this Rant Pack family. Make sure to leave a comment on this video and tell me what you think of the series so far, whether you've seen season 1, you've gotten into season 2, what your favorite episode is so far, what you hope will happen from the series. If you have something negative to say to me, it'll be deleted, so, I don't know why you would leave that shit. We're talking about the show, but hey, do what you need to do. Anywho, it's your boy Matty Rants. I will see you next time. And also, for those of you who watch Dragula, I will be covering Dragula Titans on this channel. There'll be live reviews towards the evening time. I'll have a special guest co-host on this channel, which is duly under_noted. Those will be Wednesday nights. Until then, I'll see you later.